Jade, what's up?
Not a lot. Yourself?
So much, so much. So Jade, you're divorced now?
Yep.
You've gone through your stages of grief. You've cried, you've laughed, I forget all the stages, but
Party,
you've been
probably.
in denial. Divorce decrees signed and finalized. So once that's all done,
Now what?
today,
We're going to talk about rebuilding your financial independence after divorce, aren't we?
yes. So yet again, going from we to me, but embracing that change.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think we're going to touch on, setting those financial goals for, I guess, rebuilding your finances post-divorce.
Mm-hmm. Or figuring out new financial goals,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you've never done them before, now you need to.
Yep.
Strategies for building up those emergency savings and long-term financial security.
Like retirement accounts, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, a little bit about pursuing educational and career advancements and financial, I guess, empowerment post-divorce.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about this subject today because, look, everyone is focused, or when people are getting divorced, they're focused on getting it finished and perhaps not always looking at what's going to happen after that, right? So after that, you are in charge of your own life, financially and otherwise, and maybe you weren't, whether voluntarily or involuntarily, maybe you weren't in charge of the finances before, right?
Yeah. So what we want to do is really, I guess, establish a baseline.
What's a baseline, Jade?
Well, I view a baseline is, I guess, just a real honest look at where you stand. And that's going to be a mixture, most likely, of positive and negatives, but it's going to be a starting point.
Oh,
So,
like a race.
like a race,
Like an endurance race?
You might be coming into that with like a little hip issue or a knee issue. That's something.
Holes in your shoes, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or
right?
or you may be feeling really strong, but there's something else going on there. So it's the positive and negatives combined, but
Yeah.
it's at the start. Okay. So, and it's just being open and honest with yourself. There's going to be parts that aren't going to be great,
Mm-hmm.
and there's going to be other parts maybe that you're quite proud of,
Mm-hmm.
that you've done quite well with.
Sorry about the race analogy, but Jade did recently come back from an endurance race. And
Up in Canada,
I think that is a good comparison, right?
It
Life
was.
is an endurance race.
it is, yeah.
You got to last. You got to last through thick and thin.
Unfortunately, some of my team members did not. But
we
it's
want to
about
talk about establishing that starting point,
Yeah.
right? Where are you today, post-divorce,
Mhm.
and where do you want to be? How are you going to get
and
there?
also having the right mindset,
Yes.
because that's huge.
Is your milk spilled or is it half full?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Or are you going to take the view that it's half empty?
Right.
It's all those little things. They're the things that you probably, if you've got kids, that you're trying to if you hear your kid talking negative, it's reframing it and putting
Or
a
if you
positive
hear
spin on it.
yourself be negative,
Mhm.
reframing it
Yeah.
for yourself as well as your kids.
Yeah.
If you have kids,
Yeah.
right? You're now in control. This is okay.
World's your oyster.
World is your oyster. Well, according to a UBS Investor Watch recurring global study,
What do you get up to reading?
I know. I read the most fun stuff. Most women are highly involved with the day-to-day and short-term needs of their families by sharing or taking charge of day-to-day expense management. So that could mean grocery budgets, summer camp, after school,
Yep.
how much you can designate to buy books for your kids and
Yeah.
toys, stuff like that, right? Oh, that's 85% of
Mhm.
women globally. Whereas more than half of the women globally, 58%, defer to their spouses to manage critical long-term decisions. What does that mean? What's long-term?
That's going to be those big ticket items as well as retirement,
Retirement,
Yeah.
emergency savings.
Yeah.
I would say, right?
Which I don't know. It's surprising because, it's using the same sort of principles and, actions to plan short term. There's no reason why if you can plan short term, you can't do long term. So
It's a little bit of a pivot, but it's the same muscle, right?
yeah, I don't know. I think
a
if
similar
you
muscle.
if you can do the short term, you can definitely do the long term. And if you didn't get a chance to do the long term, I have confidence.
We're optimistic for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not alone.
Right. So let's talk about these financial goals. So besides the day to day, how do we set financial goals, and what are financial goals?
Well, I know Joe and I both came from a firm where we used to talk about with clients in terms of needs, wants, and wishes.
Needs are very black and white.
Yeah.
Right?
I need to have an Xbox. Oh, that's not a need.
No.
No, that's not a need. So a need is a non-negotiable. So
I need shelter.
yeah. So food, shelter.
Probably some kind of transportation to get to work and school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those really important things that
non-negotiables.
It's either going to make you homeless or starving
right.
without. Okay.
You need the minimum to live.
Yeah.
And wake up.
Yeah.
Right?
And then a want, is a nice to have,
Want is maybe like a goal that you strive for.
Yeah.
In the future.
I would like my kids to have their own bedroom post-divorce instead of having to still sleep in my bed.
Right.
Yeah.
I would like to buy my kids their own bed.
Yeah.
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 Right. So that is, even though maybe that could feel like a need, that might be a want, right? So especially if you're establishing this baseline and maybe money's a bit tight, right?
You really do need to move some of those things that you might think is a need into the want
Into
column.
the want.
Yeah.
And wish is I want to
pie in the sky.
I want to travel around Europe for 4 weeks with my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, I don't know, even for me, that's a wish. I would like to.
Okay.
I don't know when that will be.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe a wish is a goal that doesn't have like a set time period, maybe. Whereas maybe, hey, I want to buy my kid a bed. I want to do that in the next year, 2 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Look, I would even put travel sometimes as a want, like depending on what it is.
It
But like a big,
kind of,
whether it be like a once in a lifetime travel, that's a wish then. But like if it's just like,
camping down the street.
Yeah. Like
at the campsite
take the kids away
for
once
$15.
a year. Like,
yeah.
Because there's different prices and it costs, you can still travel somewhat affordably.
Yes. Well, within every goal, right, there's shades of gray.
Correct.
So even the shelter that is a need could be a 1-bedroom apartment, not in your ideal part of town, or it could be that 6-bedroom house in a better neighborhood that would be more like a wish, right?
So once you've come up with that list of all those,
just list everything.
Yeah.
List it down. This is your business plan.
Just throw it on the wall, and then maybe the next step is then to kind of put it into those columns of needs, wants, and wishes.
Yeah. Put some price tags.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you
assign a price tag.
Yeah. We're wanting to now look at the budget.
Right.
And we've spoken about this beforehand, but we're going to speak about it again now. Is all those things, or a lot of those things, are probably going to have a price tag to them. Yeah.
Yes.
And
then you need to look at your income,
because that's going to drive what you can actually achieve.
Yes. This may influence some of those needs becoming wants.
Yeah.
Right. At least in the short term. So I think another thing that I think we wanted to drive home here is, in the immediate aftermath of a divorce, just know and accept that it's a transition period. Week 1 after your divorce is not the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It's week 1 after your divorce.
Yeah. And there's going to have some steps back. And it doesn't mean that, some of those things that you really want to do, or those wishes, can't come later on as a goal or a need.
Life is just going to look different than what it was. And, spend a bit of your grieving process grieving that, but move on. Yeah. Right? Your life is different.
And you've both heard us share stories about adjustments that we had to do for our finances when we both got divorced separately there.
It could look similar eventually, or it could still look different, but better. You just don't know, right? But just understand and try to accept that it's not forever, and that's okay. It's a transition. So building upon that, so your needs, wants, and wishes, I did want to add something to the budget.
Yeah.
Savings needs to be part of that budget, right? So building out that emergency savings needs to be another category that is a need. Yeah. Right. So emergency savings, we can say, oh, well, only for emergencies, right? But let's face it, especially when you have kids or
it's coming up
parents
all the time.
That are elderly, an emergency happens all the time. So
100%.
it's an expense that needs to be saved for.
Yeah, broken arm, out-of-pocket costs and stuff like that.
Anything helps. So I know maybe some of you are rolling your eyes at me like, how the F can I save right now when I can barely put groceries on the table? I totally get it, but anything helps. Start with $20 a month.
Yeah.
$5 a week, something. Anything.
It's just I think part of it is also just trying to get into a good habit.
Yes.
And we've spoken,
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
It's just like having that repeatable process that you keep on doing. So then it just feels natural.
Yes.
And then hopefully over time, if you earn more or you can save more, you can actually contribute more as well.
Right.
To that emergency fund or to the retirement account.
And if you must play games with yourself to make sure that you're saving this money, do it, right? So probably saving that emergency fund isn't going to work as well if you leave it in your checking account where all your expenses come out of, right? Because then you see it there and it's like, ooh, extra.
Yeah.
I can spend that extra money at the grocery. It's no.
Yeah, like I just have a separate account with the same bank, but some people like to not even be able to view that account online, or, that they have to physically go into there, some sort of barrier.
Or put it in an envelope and bury it somewhere in your apartment.
Well, let's be honest, the banks ain't paying you much interest rate at the moment anyway. The big
Well,
banks,
it
the big
depends.
banks, yeah.
Right. So just do what you got to do to make sure that you don't readily spend that money and that it's not quite as available as everything else.
And if you are putting it in a separate account with the bank, just be really mindful, I guess, of fees.
Nuisance fees, because Chase City.
God damn them. Yeah.
They are jerks.
Yeah. So if you're only contributing $20 a month into this account,
they might take $5 a month.
Yeah. So there's definitely you can definitely find an account that doesn't have any minimums or no.
Exactly.
Yeah. That aren't going to gouge you like Chase.
Right. So in addition to these emergency savings and all the other things that you're accounting for in your budget, you do want to take care of the long term and start thinking about that. Okay. You need to start contributing towards your own retirement. And again, I know some of you are rolling your eyes. You're like 27. You're like, why do I need to contribute for retirement?
Yeah, I'm just going to inherit all my parents' money, aren't I?
I'm not, but
people think that.
I'm young. I don't need to save for retirement. Well,
they should be a fly on the wall in some of our clients' meetings when they say they're actually not going to give their money to their kids.
Yeah.
But they don't know that.
Exactly. Well, anyway, the point is you got to save for yourself long term and not expect your kids to take care of you. So actually, if you're one of those people that have parents that are not going to give you money, right? Because either they can't, maybe they don't have enough for themselves, or actually maybe you're taking care of them.
Mm-hmm.
How does that make you feel? Right? That now you're obligated to take care of your parents because they weren't able to save for themselves because they thought they were doing the right thing for doing stuff for you.
And you've got kids.
And you've got kids right now. Right.
Sandwich, isn't it?
Sandwich generation. Right. So don't do that to your kids. Start saving for yourself. You are number one now. You are not part of a couple at this moment. You are number one. And number one is not your kids.
So with trying to save for those long-term goals like retirement, most employers are now obligated to offer a retirement plan. I think it's if you've got two plus
at least
employees.
In California. I don't know if that's federally. Yeah. So every state's a little different.
Check on your state laws there because employers should be offering a retirement plan. They might not contribute to it, but they should be offering a retirement plan for you.
And some employers do something called matching.
Matching. And what a match is where for every dollar that you contribute, they will match it dollar for dollar up to a certain amount. Okay.
Like 3% or something. So if
that's a common one used. So
So if you put in $300, they'll put in $300, which means you get $600.
Free money.
That is free money. And you should, at the very least,
try and do that.
Try to get the free money.
So build that into your budget
employer.
if you can for that long term, because, can't stress, just, it's not about how much is that worth now. It's that long compounding effect.
It's how much it's worth for you later.
Yeah.
And it means you have less to save later, less that you need to save later because it has more time to grow.
And look, if your employer doesn't offer it, maybe look around. There's definitely a lot of jobs available.
That's true, right? And it's not just for people that are college educated, right? Like
Correct.
You can find a job that has great benefits. Starbucks has that reputation for great benefits.
You've got a client who works like in his retirement at Trader Joe's, and
Yeah.
and they've got a very generous.
He's been there for over 20 years, and they have a wonderful retirement plan. He loves working there.
Yeah.
Works in the wine section.
Well, in a Hawaiian shirt.
In a Hawaiian, I mean, like, why wouldn't you want to work?
Yeah.
And
But there
have a
are
Hawaiian
there are
shirt?
those jobs that maybe you don't want to wear a man bun and a sleeve tattoo and work at Starbucks, like But there are companies out there that do offer great benefits, and you can do that due diligence and look for them.
Yeah.
You might not have the skill sets now to do some of them, probably, but it
Depends.
doesn't mean that you can't, learn skills to be able to do it.
And
which
speaking of learning skills,
see, I set it up there.
Yes.
Yeah. Is we want to kind of talk about
career transitions.
yeah, and financial empowerment as well there.
Right. So if you have this goal that you need to make more money or want to make more money for yourself and for your children,
Don't just buy a money tree and put it out the front of the house. That ain't gonna work.
right? Or wishful thinking, like, let me see if I can just
Put it up
create
to the
something out of
universe.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yes. Look, work on your career transition. Transition again means over time. It's not going to happen in a week. You're going to work on your experience. Maybe you're going to work on your education. You could go back to school. Yes, that could be an expense. There are cheaper and more expensive ways to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go back to a private university? Do you want to maybe
Some
go to
online. Yeah.
online community college? Maybe you don't need a certification or a degree. You just need training.
Yeah.
Right. So why don't you watch YouTube videos on how to use Excel, Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Word?
You could even, assuming that maybe you have kids, there's going to be, and you've got a weekly schedule. So there's going to be a period of time maybe where you're not having to care for your children or child.
Yep.
So there's an opportunity there where you could even do volunteer work with the hope of learning a new skill set or improving,
internships. Yeah.
Improving skills so that you can go for that next level
An
job.
apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Someone told me about that word this weekend.
Part of even the divorce decree can allow for, the reintegration of maybe a non-working spouse back into the workforce, and that can be over. Obviously that would probably be already written into it, but that's something. If you are coming from that with no skill set, you can try and fight for that and say, hey, you know what?
Give me X number of years to get myself off the ground.
I've raised these kids the last 20 years, and you've worked on your career.
Yeah, give me X amount to build back into my education.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
It's a negotiation, of course, but that could be something that you can do. But, we're talking about all these things that if you've never done them before, pretty, not easy, right? Let's acknowledge that.
Yeah.
So just make sure that you take the time to celebrate your achievements, however
Those
small.
little wins, yeah.
Those little wins. So let's say you get paid an unexpected bonus, a little larger than you expected, have an extra $100. Yeah. Take most of it and allocate it towards your budget and your savings and your goals, but carve out a small little bit to just give yourself that pat on the back.
Yeah. Or the kids,
And the
so,
kids. Yep.
and it can be small. Like it's just something out of the normal can feel like a reward there. Okay.
Right. So my mom used to take me once a month to get McDonald's breakfast from the drive-thru.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the biggest treat.
Yeah.
Biggest treat, right? That cardboard breakfast. It was amazing. It was so good.
I had one similar. So we were never allowed McDonald's except for the day that we went to the dentist. We were allowed to have it afterwards, which I'm feeling it.
It's weird.
And then soda or soft drink in Australia, we're only allowed it ever on our birthdays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, little things
and we were
that.
so excited about it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Or maybe you want that McDonald's breakfast.
Yeah.
Treat yourself. Right? Anyway, just know, again, we want to say this again. Financial rebuilding takes time. And look, changes may not be obvious day to day. It might help to even journal a little bit so that you can compare 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 1 year from now, and just, give yourself that pat on the back. Like, oh my gosh, I've come such a long way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think for both of us, right? It took us years.
Yeah.
Still transitioning, I would say.
Yeah. And we were contributing to our retirement accounts. We had to kind of pull back on that at some point, just to focus on other more important needs or
pull
wants.
back and then put it in and then pull back again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just an adjustment, right? And I've mentioned before that I've had to hopscotch around the neighborhood in an effort to save money on rent.
It doesn't help that kids are expensive. So
kids are freaking expensive. They're cute and everything, but Jade, it is time for divorce this or that.
Yeah.
We are recording a few days before July 4th. It
Yep.
is July 1 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, divorce this or that.
Yeah.
I guess for both of us.
Yeah.
United States Independence Day, July 4th Independence Day, or
Australia Day?
yeah. I don't have any freaking idea what Australia Day is, so why don't you tell me before I divorce it? I gotta be patriotic here.
Well, I don't know how much I should tell you because it's got a bit of a black mark with some people lately. It's basically when the white people invaded, Australia. But they do have a really good barbecue. It's a holiday. It's late summer time, so it's like a really nice time to have a holiday. I'm only a green card holder, so it's not even up for a question for me. It's Australia Day.
So you're like a white person invading the country? Oh,
Well,
I don't know.
I don't think you guys can talk much. What's your Thanksgiving Day again?
We're not talking about Thanksgiving. We're talking about July 4th.
Yeah, it's all under the one umbrella.
We're divorcing
So
me.
I would get rid of America's 4th of July.
Well, I'm going to get rid of Australia Day.
All right, fine. Well, what's your reasoning, though?
Because I like our barbecue times here, and the weather is actually fantastic. It's not too hot. I'm just going to take it literally there. And it's lovely to have a holiday in the middle of the week, I would say, to break up that work week.
Well, if it is on the weekend, you get it off in the weekdays anyway.
Well, I'm just saying, this time it's on a Thursday,
All right.
so I'm
What's 4th of July for, by the way?
For independence.
What independence of what? Do you even know?
Is it from the English?
Oh, Jesus.
I have no idea, actually.
Because it's a holiday.
I like my holiday.
Could have said any holiday.
Yes, this is true. I will take the holiday. Anyway, on that note, I am not a history buff.
Yep.
But we are at the end of this episode.
So a little quick reminder, we touched on, the following points today, which were like setting financial goals.
For rebuilding post-divorce.
We looked at some strategies for building emergency savings funds as well as more long-term financial
security like retirement.
Yep. Goals.
And pursuing education, career advancement, and just embracing that financial empowerment and rewarding yourself.
Yeah.
Celebrating. So this is Josephti.
And this is Jade.
See you next time.
Bye.